Welcome to the Board of Trustees, January 11, 2021 meeting, first of the year. Will everyone please join me in the salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Andino.
Present.
Trustee Lang.
present.
Is Trustee Howell's not here yet?
She's running late.
Trustee Lee.
Present.
Mayor Luise.
I am present. We have no appointments to make tonight. However, we do have one presentation from our auditor from Connor Davies, Mr. Jeffrey Shavers, which I believe he's here on the Zoom with us. So Jeffrey, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jeff Shaver. I'm a partner with PKF O'Connor Davies. I'm here to present the results of the audit for the fiscal year end May 31st, 2020. Do I have the ability to share a screen? I think I do. Nope, host is disabled. I don't know if.
Jeff, I'll give you that ability. Unfortunately, on the right-hand side, if you see any members trying to get in, you just got to let them in.
Oh, okay.
So you're all set.
Okay.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
No.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. I gotta actually click the share button. Okay. I'm getting used to this. So in front of you here, we have what's known as the independent auditor's report. And these 3 pages here are the that belong to the auditing firm. And the rest of the document is the property of the village, and it's management's financial statements and management's assertions in the financial statements. I just wanted to highlight one thing on the top here of this page. In our opinion, this is referred to as a clean opinion. In auditing language, we use the term unmodified opinion, and that's the most favorable opinion that the village can receive. What that means is the financial statements that I'm about to present to you are fairly presented in accordance with United States GAAP. With that said, I'm going to skip down. Just want to hit a few highlights tonight. David, I'm getting Sean McDevitt has entered. Is that okay?
You can let anybody in. Public meeting.
Okay, admit.
Thanks, Jeff.
I have a lot of control here. So what you have here in front of you, this is the general fund. Expenditures and changes in fund balance. Page 51 of the actual document, if anyone's following along there.
Yes.
Top part of the page, we see the revenues. You can see this is a 4-column presentation. Budget as adopted by the trustees in the first column. The final budget encompasses any amendments or transfers during the year. The third column is the actual results. And the fourth column is the variance between the final budget and the actual results. You can see when the budget was crafted, it was anticipated
Would you like some more time for me?
13,090,000 of revenues would be collected.
Huh?
Actual revenues for the year were 12,925,000, which means you fell short of the anticipated revenue budget by $165,000. How did that happen? You see the largest single line item is in departmental income, where $1,500,000 was budgeted. Only $1,246,000 was collected. That's a variance of $265,000. That's mostly your parking fees. So when obviously when the shutdown occurred back in March, people stopped going to work and they stopped parking in the village, and those fees dropped for for those several months at the end of the year. Some other line items, one that was favorable was licenses and permits, was better than the budget by about $143,000. You also see a shortfall in the fines and forfeitures category. That's the fees that you collect from the Justice Court, and that was less than the budget by approximately $93,000. Miscellaneous revenue category was better than the budget by $97,000, as the state is no longer making what we call aid payments, or the general aid payments to the villages. It's being done through the counties. So it used to be reflected within state aid. Now it's reflected within miscellaneous revenues. All in all, you see the budgetary shortfall of $165,000. And down on this part of the page, we can see the expenditure side of the budget. Initially, it was anticipated $12,393,000 would be spent during the year. There were transfers moving the budgets around between the line items in the categories, but they were not changed in the aggregate for expenditures. And then actual expenditures were $12,273,000, or $120,000 less than the budget. You can see as you look through the variance column, there's no significant variances between the final budget and the actual expenditures. But there were transfers during the year, and just to highlight where you underspent and where you overspent. In the general government support category, which would be categories like the village administrator, the treasurer, tax certiorari's, contingency line items would be in there. Those sort of items were actually underspent by $144,000 as compared to this original budget. The public safety categories spent the original budget by $173,000. Transportation, which is essentially your DPW department, overspent the budget by $69,000. And all those shortfalls were made up within the employee benefits category. As you initially budgeted $3.7 million, only $3.5 million was spent. Most of that was in the health insurance line items, as the health insurance increases didn't come in nearly as high as they were anticipated to. You also see on the bottom part of the page what we call other financing sources and uses. In the case of the village, it's essentially transfers out to other funds. And that line item, the transfers specifically to the capital projects fund, was during the year for approximately $94,000, and that was to fund some additional capital projects. And you can see the total transfers for the year were $770,000. Also within the transfers out category is the budgeted transfer to the library fund. So you can see this net change in fund balance number in the original budget column was zero at the beginning of the year. That means when you adopted the budget, there was no use of fund balance. So your budget balanced on its own. You didn't have to use any of your previous surplus to balance the budget, which is certainly a positive thing that you didn't have to do that. The budget was amended during the year only for the transfers to the capital projects fund of $93,793. Because of that transfer, there was a deficiency in revenues over expenditures of approximately $85,000. So your fund balance, actual fund balance for the year decreased from $2,389,000 down to $2,304,000. The other thing I will say about your fund balance, $2.3 million, is all what we call unassigned fund balance. So that money doesn't have any restrictions on it, no assignments for next year's budget. So again, in 2021, you didn't use any of the budget to balance budget. You didn't use any of the fund balance to balance the budget. Very good item. And it's all unassigned. So that's available for the use at the discretion of the village board of trustees. And that, compared to your total budget, is a quite healthy number. So while the end of 2020 fiscal year was certainly challenging, you were able to maintain your fund balance for the most part for fiscal year 2020. Just quickly, I will point out some of your capital projects. And you can see total projects outstanding with authorization of $2.1 million. To date, $1,236,000 has been spent. And after, I'm sorry, this is on 2 pages. After the collecting revenues or issuing debt or transfers of $1,832,000, there's $596,000 left of unspent capital money at May 31st, 2020. There are a few small projects that are in deficits. You can see one small amount, $6,000, $13,000, $20,000. Not very significant numbers, but just something to keep in mind that those projects will need to be funded sometime in the future. I just want to highlight quickly the 2 other funds of the village. There's a public library fund I mentioned before when I was speaking about the general fund. There's a transfer out to fund the public library, so the library gets essentially the general fund, and then the special purpose fund, which accounts for grants and donations that are restricted for specific purposes. The balance in that fund is $147,000, and the balance in the public library fund, $52,000. So when we talk about the operating funds, general fund, capital fund, they don't account for long-term liabilities of the village. So I'm going to highlight those separately here. And we can see here on the bottom of page 34, summary of all the long-term obligations of the village as of May 31st. You can see serial bonds outstanding at $5,842,000. There were pay downs during the year of $582,000. No new bonds in fiscal 2020. There's also a compensated absences liability at $616,000. That's the value of sick and vacation time for employees. They'll be paid out those amounts when they retire if they don't use them in advance. The net pension liability is the unfunded portion of the pension plan, New York State pension plans, that's been allocated down to the village. This isn't a liability that will ever be paid down directly by the village. However, what the state does is it eventually will increase the retirement contribution rates. So the fact remains that you won't have to pay down this liability, but the state will have to factor any shortfalls into future contribution rates. The largest number on the page is the other post-employment benefit liability, and that stands at $723,000 at May 31st. That's the value of retirees' health insurance, not only for retirees that are already retired, but also current employees that are earning towards that benefit when they retire. And this number is determined by your actuary. And it's difficult to present to trustees because the thing that you need to keep in mind is there's no legal mechanism to fund this liability. So it's on a pay-as-you-go basis. So when the health insurance bill comes in, it incorporates any retirees, and you pay the bill as it goes, and you're budgeting for that every year. So the liability is taking into account how long people will live, the mix of employees you have, and how much the health insurance rates are going to increase in the future. So this number will go up and down as the actuarial assumptions change and time goes by and you have more experience. And again, $31,723,000, similar to last year's number, $31,311,000. So with that said, that is all I had to go over on the financial statements. I'd like to open it it up to any questions from the trustees on anything I spoke about tonight or anything in the financial statements or any other financial related matters that you'd like me to speak on.
No questions from the audience either? I'm going to ask you an unfair question, Mr. Shaver. In light of what the village has endured in the last year financially, is it a fair question to ask you how we're doing? Have we weathered the storm so far?
Well, one thing I can say is you've weathered the storm up to this point that I'm presenting on. Keep in mind, I'm
Yes,
presenting fund balance numbers and results of operations ending in May 2020. So it's been many months since then, and I don't have that financial information in front of me, so I can't, and we certainly aren't out of this pandemic yet,
Right.
as we're all painfully aware. So it's hard to say whether you've weathered the storm, but I would say you've put yourself, the village has put itself in a position to weather the storm.
Okay.
Through the first few months of the pandemic without any significant decreases in your fund balance. So you were able to absorb the impact to the operations for those first few months. If you can minimize any further impacts, I believe there would be some financial impact for the 2021 fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
You will have to take your fund balance will come down, but it's important to note that you have that $2.3 million there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have very significant shortfalls in your revenues or unanticipated expenditures to eat into that in 1 year. So you have several years worth of fund balance as a cushion, and you've been developing, balanced budgets that are fairly accurate. So the village has put itself in a position to weather the storm.
Good. That's good to hear. And I think it's good for the residents to hear that as well.
May I? Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, go right ahead.
So Jeffrey, so far we're at a shortfall of 264,000 with our parking revenue. I believe you identified that as parking.
Yes.
So that would have been 5 months of 2020. Is that correct?
Half
Months
of
of
March,
2020.
April, May.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, only 2.5 months.
Wow. So
The shutdown was in mid-March.
Is it safe to say that we could potentially be down well over $1 million, if not more, by the end of this next fiscal year?
Well, those few months hold true throughout the whole year. It's possible. I have not seen any of your 2021 numbers, so I just want to caution you. I'd ask your treasurer or the village administrator to give you those current numbers. But it's certainly a significant part of your budget, and a valid question, and something to watch closely, as it is obviously economically sensitive.
Yeah, I just want to, just because Gregory's mentioned he wanted the residents to be aware of that. I also want the residents to be aware that here in Tuckahoe, we're very dependent on parking. So this is going to be, a big blow to the village if and when, when the time comes to do the math.
Yeah, and we have gotten the numbers from our treasurer, and we are aware, and that's the case.
Anyone else?
Mayor, if you don't mind,
Sure.
thank you, Jeff, for that presentation. Just to kind of give a plug to all the department heads, and then especially Ryan Rueda when it comes to the audit right there. It is a significant amount of work. It's week of preparation. The auditors are here in Village Hall for about a week. Ryan's constantly giving them paperwork and things like that. So it's a long week for him, and then just kind of the follow-up and everything else with it. So I just kind of want to, give a plug, say thank you, Ryan, for all your hard work on that. And then just thanks to the department heads. You look at that
Sure.
audit, you look at our financials at the end of the day, we're coming in on our budget. They're doing a great job. I mean, the last 3 months of the fiscal year were ruinous, but we kind of clamped down and did what we had to do to kind of get it where we needed to be. So I kind of give a shout out to all the department heads and Ryan for helping that out.
Totally
Thank
agree.
you, David, and thank
Yeah,
you
we have to thank
for your
David.
guidance, David.
I was just gonna say that. David, thank you as well. You put a lot of hard work into this.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Shaver.
Thank you. I just have to ask David, if you could instruct me how to pass the, because I don't want to end the meeting for everybody.
Yeah, don't do that. I think if you just click on my name, you can just remake me host.
Yep.
Oh, make hope. Yes, I do.
All right, good.
You have
Okay.
it, so I can,
All
okay,
set.
I don't want to, I'm not going to end the meeting.
Nope. Thanks, John.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the opportunity.
Stay well.
Take care.
There are no public hearings, and that will bring us to the adoption of minutes. The approval of the minutes of the December 7th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Andino.
In favor.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor?
Trustee Lee.
In favor.
Mayor Luise.
In favor, and we welcome Trustee Howell to our meeting. I know she came in here a few minutes late.
Thank you.
This will bring us to the first opportunity for anyone in the public to address the board on agenda items, please. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on any agenda items? Agenda items. Nope. Okay. That being none, going to move on to resolutions. Resolution number 1 is authorizing the mayor to execute an electrical service agreement as a member of Sustainable Westchester with Constellation New Energy Incorporated. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Would any of the board members like to discuss or make any comments prior to the vote? Okay, I know there was just one clarification that I would just like to make. The resident will have the opportunity to opt out of the green program and can take possession of the standard energy program if they like. Okay, so I just want to make that clear.
And Greg, I would just like to thank all the hard work done by the Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee. They've been working on this for years.
Yeah, they have.
And so it's really exciting to see it come to fruition.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes, okay.
Harmeet
So-
did work. Harmeet deserves all the
Thank
credit.
you, Harmeet.
We all do. We all do.
We
And
all-
thank you to Sustainable Westchester, who's come in and has educated us and given information, no matter how many times we ask and no matter how ignorant we are of certain things. Thank you very much, Jasmine. And are you here alone, Jasmine?
Yeah, I'm here
Yes,
alone
she's out there.
today, and the pleasure is all mine. It's been absolutely great, and I'll continue to work with you and happy to answer any questions as they come up.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Trustee Andino.
In favor.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Lee.
In favor.
Mayor Luise.
In favor, and that brings us to resolution number
Thank you to
2,
the board.
Thought
authorizing
that one.
Thank you to the board. Excuse me, Greg. Thank you, board.
You're welcome, Donald.
So I have a question, please. When will this take effect?
It'll take effect
Of course,
beginning.
Tom. Of course you have that question, Tom.
No, it's a great and important question. So letters will be going out in about a week or so, and then the opt-out period will start, and people will be enrolled on the first meter read date after March 1st.
March 1st. Great. Thank you very much.
Jasmine, do you physically give them something to respond to if they wanted to opt out, or do they have to do it online, or can they simply check a box and send it back?
Yep, there's 3 ways to opt out. The first of which is the postcard that comes in the mailing. You just sign and send. The other way is to go on to sustainablewestchester.org/WP, and there's an opt-out form, or you can give our office a call, 914-242-4725.
Let's hope that everybody opts in.
Yes.
Well, everybody is
No,
opting in.
nobody. Yes, right.
Well, I guess
Hope
let's hope
Opt out.
nobody
No one
opts out.
opts out. I apologize. Scratch that. Let's hope no one opts out.
Right, right.
Well, we're so grateful, and it's flexible. You know, people can opt out. They can switch to the standard supply, as the mayor said. So it's really flexible. And if anyone has questions, they can call our office. You have a 1 in 5 chance of reaching me.
Those aren't good odds. Those are not very good
Not
odds.
good enough?
No, not 1 in 5. Okay. Resolution number 2 is authorizing an exclusive vehicle charging services agreement with Blink Network LLC. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there anyone anyone on the board would like to comment on this one, seeing as it's going to tie in with Sustainable Westchester at some point?
It's all the green initiatives are very exciting for our environment. So I like this initiative because it gives opportunity for different parts of the village to have stations for people. So that's really great. So people don't just have one place that they have to go to.
And what I particularly like about this agreement is that it will involve no labor, no sweat off the village's part. It's all going to be done by the Blink Network, and we will realize 40% of the revenue when that time comes. But I think it's really that we're on the cutting edge right now with this. Well, it's not new technology, but I think that technology is going to expand as we continue to move on year after year.
So may I ask a question? Will the existing charge point stations be taken out or taken over?
They will be taken out, yes.
So how do I get my money back from charge point that they have?
We'll call up charge point, I would imagine.
Not Mr. Burke?
No, not Mr. Burke. No.
Leave him out of this.
Get ready for the calls, David.
Thank you.
And I think once the charge points are out, we'll probably ask the police department and Frank to start thinking about getting electrical vehicle next time around. But we'll cross the bridge when the time comes.
Yeah, well, yes. I know there's some grant programs out there for that purpose as well. I think there's a municipality in Westchester that's just saw it on the news last week that they have an electric vehicle on the road.
Right. And now that we are signed up with this Sustainable Westchester, we have the certification to apply for those grants and get money to buy these.
That's
cars.
right.
So
Exactly right.
Will the police department ever go with electric vehicles, Greg?
That will be a decision that will be left up to the chief, among a few other people, I'm sure.
Go ahead, Camille.
Okay, Camille.
Trustee Andino.
In favor.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Lee.
In favor.
Mayor Luise.
In favor. Resolution number 3 is authorizing proposal for professional services with Mazer Consulting for various tasks related to the replacement of 3 village traffic signals. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We
I
said
knew
that
that
quick.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Uh,
What
Trustee
streetlights are going to be replaced?
Oh,
What intersections?
Right now, we were looking at Columbus Avenue and Main Street, Scarsdale Road and Lake. And what was the third one?
No,
Dave?
so that traffic
Well,
signal
this
wouldn't be
isn't part of
replaced.
this,
We're looking to try to do some upgrades to that. It would be Midland and Winter Hill, Maine and Fairview, and Fisher and Marbledale would be the three ones we need to replace. But we're also looking to try to do some of the upgrades, some of the technological upgrades to some of the other ones, depending on how much funding we have.
Hopefully,
More time?
ultimately, we're going to get those hockey pucks in the street, which will better regulate the timing of the lights, depending on the traffic and which direction it's going. So I am sorry, I'm focused on Maine and Columbus, Lake and Scarsdale Road. Boy, every time I went out today, I caught every light. Boy, I could have read War and Peace 3 times over. Sorry, Chief. So, did we do a roll call, Camille?
okay. Not yet. Trustee Andino.
In favor.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Lee.
In favor.
Mayor Luise.
In favor. And resolution number 4 is authorizing the approval of vouchers in the amount of $436,786.09. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Andino.
In favor.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Lee.
In favor.
Mayor Luise.
And I'm in favor. Do we have any items up for discussion? Does anyone on the board have anything they would like to bring forth right now? Okay. If not, then that'll bring us to the departmental reports, and we'll begin, as we always do, with the Chief of Police, Chief John Costanzo.
Good evening, Mayor, and members of the board and the public. I really don't have a report. I just obviously want to wish everyone a happy new year. Let's hope 2021 brings us a lot better hope than the past year. I would also like to just answer Donald's question about the electric vehicle. There is a purpose for electric vehicles, I think, within the police department, probably for parking enforcement and some of the administrative functions. We're not quite there yet for emergency vehicles. I know that there's some models out there that are very small and are being used in some municipalities, but would not be a right fit for us right now. I'd like to add that we were using electric vehicles about 20 years ago in the village under a grant under the New York Power Authority. So it's not really new technology to us. Obviously, the technology now is much better, and we'd be receptive to using it for certain purposes. So I hope that answers your question. And other than that, Mayor, I have no report tonight.
Thank you, Chief. And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the department using those two-wheel vehicles? I don't know if they were, what were they called again? They came in.
Segway.
There you go. Thank
We
you.
were using Segways, but we were actually using an electric car, which was a prototype. It has to be at least 20 years ago. It's before I was even chief. And it worked for the purposes of parking enforcement. It didn't have much of a battery life back then. And again, the technology has come a real long way.
Sure.
And again, we'd certainly be receptive to it.
Yeah. Segway. That's a name from the past. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for answering the question, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Frank DeMarco, our Superintendent of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good
members of the
evening.
board, and I also like to wish everybody a happy new year. But I want to piggyback on what John's saying. He brings up a good point. We're really not prepared yet for electric vehicles. This grant will allow Village Hall, the police department, DPW, and many other locations within the village of Tuckahoe to now begin purchasing electric vehicles, being that we'll have charging stations. Even with DPW trucks, pickup trucks, they still have a couple more years to go. 2022, 2023 is when a majority of the trucks that we could use at DPW will be out for purchasing. But with that said, we're preparing now, and hopefully within the years to come, we'll be able to do some purchases with electric vehicles. That's our goal. But I just want to move on to talk about other things. You know, there's a lot of work going on in the village of Tuckahoe, and it's not costing taxpayer any dollars at all. You know, we have Susan Chiamara. I mentioned it before, and I'm going to reiterate it over and over again because there's a tremendous amount of work going on. You know, Susan Chiamara and the Beautification Committee is working with the local charitable foundation in completing many projects within the community. At the community center, we're doing the brickwork, we're doing paver work, library. We're also doing a lot of exterior work and brickwork there as well. Within the municipality, this foundation and the beautification committee is purchasing new trash receptacles, benches throughout the entire village. So, you know, with that said, I would like people to be aware of what's going on and the work that the beautification committee is doing. Some of the projects moving forward are decorating the gateway areas into Tuckahoe, coming in from Tuckahoe Road, and creating a welcome to Tuckahoe and gold leaf lettering, incorporating a lot of our Tuckahoe stone into these projects. From Dale Road in Eastchester coming into Columbus Avenue is another gateway area that we're also looking to dress up. So these are all the projects that are on the drawing board right now, and hopefully within the next year, all of this will come into fruition. I also want to shout out to Jeff and Claire Gorman. They received grant funding from the Bronx River Sound Shore Audubon Society for the library native garden that they've just completed, and is still in the process of working onto that. The beautification committee is also working into this project and doing other things, installing benches and doing some paver work, and again, trash receptacles, benches, and a lot of that work. So I want to thank them as well. Phil Raffiani donating funding every year from the Raffiani family for Christmas lights and decorations. Without this funding, you know, we wouldn't have all these lights coming up and down Main Street, or trees being decorated. So we thank them as well. But I also want to shout out to the Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee for their drive and their goals in accomplishing all that they do. I mean, without all of this work, a lot of this will never, ever get done. So I want to shout out to everybody and just say thank you. And we all forget that all this begins at the hub at David Burke's office. So I want to bring light to David to orchestrating everything that really goes on. I know when I sit at David's desk, I'm throwing 20, 30 things at him at once. So that's only my department. So I want to thank him as well for what he does. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Frank.
Any questions?
How much snow do you think we're gonna get this year?
How dare you mention that? I don't know. We're looking pretty fair so far. I don't see anything in the forecast.
I'll tell you what, I bought a new snow blower. Rest assured, it's not going to snow.
I won't even change the oil.
First new snow blower in my life in 67 years. It will not snow.
I'm not going to even mention the word.
Well, if it does, oh well, I'm sorry. But the luck that I have, it won't snow. Just like I bought a generator. Let's see if that ever comes to that. I need to use that. But on a more serious note, though, you're, absolutely right, Frank. Just the work that they did at the community center and the library, that repaving work, it just gives that whole area a whole new look. That new bench that they put up by the post office is really eye-catching. And I see that they started working on the front of Village Hall today, as a matter of fact.
Yes, they have.
They're working on the wall there, so that's another thing, that the residents will see. They're going to see a new renovation of the front of that wall in front of Village Hall, thanks to the beautification committee.
Yeah.
Association, I'm sorry. So that's it. Is Mr. John Galuzzi in the room, Dave?
I didn't see him come on.
Okay, then, Camille, do you have anything for us?
No, I have no report. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Gertston?
Nothing on my end, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, though.
Thank you. All right, and it rolls to you, David.
Honestly, I don't have anything. Well, I do. I always have a couple of items, but during the trustee reports, I know you're gonna hit on them. So if you
Okay.
guys don't, I'll jump in, but I'm sure you will.
Okay, great. Thank you. That'll bring us to miscellaneous business. Our next village board meeting will be February 8th at 7 p.m. 99% sure it also still will be via Zoom. And that's all I have, and that'll bring us to our Board of Trustees member reports, and we're going to begin with Trustee Omaira Andino.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
So just to go over a few library updates. Our browsing and computer access has been suspended until further notice, as I mentioned last month. Window pickup is still available. The pickup hours are by appointment only. Monday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can call 914-961-2121 or email and get more information. As usual, the library is continuing to offer a wealth of programs and virtual events for people. We have online craft program on Thursday, January 14th, on how to create a dream board collage. If you're interested in that, at 3:30. For the children, we continue to have story time on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Sing along with Miss Elaine, you don't want to miss on Mondays at 11:30. And there's also yoga for kids on Wednesday, January 13th for pre-K ages 2 to 5 and at 11 a.m. And kids also ages 6 to 10. The children's special programs, they have a like an Egyptian discovering I don't know why it's not coming out now, hieroglyphics and scribes work on Tuesday, January 26th at 4 p.m. If you want your kids to learn the ABCs of hieroglyphics. That's funny. There's also a special program, book club by My Italian Bulldozer on Wednesday, January 13th at 6:30. So bring your wine and cheese and enjoy a heartwarming evening at the book club meeting. We also have an art class with Jessica Chiofaletti. She is also from Westchester Arts or Arts Westchester. So she's doing an art class from home. On Thursday, January 26th, I will be doing another cooking lesson on how to make empanadas, if you're interested in that, at 6:30. I will teach you how to make that. And then on Monday, January 26th at 7 p.m., Bill Graham and the Rock and Roll Revolution will be doing a dive into the life and times of Bill Graham. So if you're interested in any of those, also there's an Elder Law 101 with Stephen Shirkman on Wednesday, January 26th, and he'll focus on an introduction to aging issues and planning for the future. And Stephen Shirkman has 35 years experience in the practice of law, focusing on the areas of estate planning, probate, elder law, real estate, and commercial transactions. So these are some really valuable programs that are free, that if you go somewhere else, you'd have to pay for. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of the programs that the village has to offer. Also, want to remind everyone, we have talked about the Tuckahoe commission on police reform that was formed in response to the governor's order. So we put out a survey to get feedback from the residents to inform our plan that we have to submit to the governor. Today is the last day to complete that survey. Am I right, David? Today is the last day, right?
We don't have to make it today. We could do it tomorrow or
Okay.
even Wednesday. It's up to you.
Okay, so I mean, if you haven't had an opportunity to complete the survey, please have your voice heard. We are asking for feedback because the feedback that you gives us lets us know what do we need to include in that plan for the village. So we'll leave it open until Wednesday then, so that you can complete it and everyone has a chance to do so. You can go on the website to find it under police reform, I believe is the tab, and you can use some of that information. Also, just to bring everybody up to speed, we've been doing COVID testing in the village since last, I think maybe April or May. We have tested so far 500 people in the village. We're also working on bringing the vaccines here for the police departments in Tuckahoe and Eastchester and Bronxville as well, if we can work with our neighbors. As you know, for the police department and fire departments, if there are people who have not gotten it yet, and we want to encourage people to go ahead and get the information that you need to get vaccinated. The pandemic, as you know, is still alive and well, and we need to be responsive to that. I'm also working with the school to see if we can help facilitate bringing the vaccines here. A number of people have gone and made appointments. You can, get an appointment online, but their appointments have either been canceled because there weren't enough vaccines, or they're not able to get out to get to where they need to get the vaccines. So we're trying to see if we can facilitate that and bring them here. I would like to say a few words about the events that happened on January 6th. A few residents contacted me about it. And I was deeply impacted by the images depicting really an attempt to subvert our democracy as we know it. When the people have spoken, we have to accept the decision of the majority. Sometimes it's in our favor and sometimes it's not, whether it's by 1 vote, 10 votes, or 10 million votes. And what we witnessed really sent chills up my spine, and not because there were people protesting or voicing their disappointment or their disagreement or even their anger. That's what we do. That's what our country stands for, and we can do that. And our freedom to express our beliefs, our values, our hurts, and even our disgust. It's what we can do, but the actions that were taken on that day clearly was something different to me. It's important for us to remember that even when election cycles turn out to go against our desires, that they're just that, cycles. The beauty of our well-constructed democracy is that we know that another election is coming in 2, 4, or 6 years, depending on the office, and that nobody is fated to hold power forever. I thank the officers who took a stand on that day to uphold our democracy, and I'm saddened to hear of the deaths that occurred, including those of U.S. Capitol Police officers Howard Liebengood and Brian Sicknick. My thoughts and prayers are with their families. I also want to remind us that this is only a moment in time, a time that will pass. There's always a chance to stop and renew, change course, and make improvements. And I'd like for us all to reflect on how we might have contributed to some of the vitriol that's plaguing our country, plaguing our state, even our village and our city. And I'm certainly not above this need for reflection. I found myself thinking about the ways that I could personally facilitate productive and meaningful discourse, even in our small village. Our country is going to get past this and heal. In the meantime, we have to focus on meeting the needs of residents right here and consider how we're going to manage the challenges ahead, the financial constraints, the likes of which Tuckahoe have never seen before. A pandemic that's impacting us, continues to impact us right here in our village, and the hardships that so many people are still facing due to job loss and deaths. And that's what I'm going to continue to focus on. And I implore us all to do the same thing. We've seen our challenging moments in our nation's history that have felt similarly tumultuous and sometimes even hopeless. But we've emerged to be stronger and better. And my hope is that we will do so again. And so that's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee Andino. Deputy Mayor Lang?
Yes, first, Happy New Year to everybody. I just want to take a minute to thank the trustees for their COVID test, for all the COVID testing that they put together, and will continue to do so. Thank you, Omira. Thank you, Gina, and thank you especially Renee for being right there in the thick of things. So thank you for that. I want to thank the public for coming out and taking those tests. And I hope that all of the residents opt in, get vaccinated when it becomes available. We really need to help protect one another and possibly put an end to this craziness. It's nice to hear some 500 residents who already tested. Omar, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice job with that. I also wanted to thank the beautification for all the new projects throughout the village. And what's really important is what Trustee Andino mentioned a moment ago. It's very important that we complete that survey, so everybody sees, as far as I'm concerned, just what this village is all about. And the numbers don't lie. So it'd be nice if everybody would take that survey and, see, just say how they feel. So thank you for that survey. Thank you for the police reform committee. Thank you to all of the folks that are on that committee. And I think a lot of good stuff is going to come from it. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Howell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
First, I wanted to thank everybody for responding to my request for applicants for the open position we have on the planning board. Things are coming in, and I think I'm going to be able to surprise the mayor and David, which makes me very happy. Not too much going on in planning and zoning. Well, there's stuff going on, but it's the same. A lot of stuff on Marbledale, a few, home zoning and planning applications before the board. So Omira, I wanted to, echo everything that was said about the testing and the vaccinations. It's so important to bring this locally. I think you've all heard in the news what a difficult problem it's been to get access to these things. And so what we have here is a great example of local officials taking action on making that happen for their area. So I'm actually writing this up as a business case for my company. In addition to the COVID vaccines, the county is offering free flu shots, another really important thing to get on January 13th at the Eastchester Community Action Center. So I hope residents will take advantage of that as well. You can call 914-337-7768 to make an appointment. And one more thing on that, I will be giving a talk on February 3rd for the library via Zoom on the vaccines. So I'll take a little bit of time to explain, the history of vaccines in general, what these vaccines are technically, how they're made, what they consist of, and what's involved in a clinical trial and in these clinical trials. There was a really interesting paper that came out of the Journal of American Medical Association this weekend. And it showed that about 50% of the people who are spreading the disease do not show symptoms. So that's a combination of asymptomatic people, people who carry the virus, shed it, and never get symptoms, and then a combination of people who, at first, for a couple of days, they are carrying the virus and shedding it, and then later become symptomatic. So that's very high, and that's kind of the reason that we see this pattern with this virus. So even after we take these measures of testing and vaccination, we still need to be careful. We still need to think about wearing masks in certain situations. So I'll be looking forward to talking with the community about that. I wanted to give a shout out. There were some fun things that happened in December, and I'll talk about one of them. I think Trustee Lee's going to talk about another one. But we had a resident, Adelaide DeGiorgi, who was inducted into the Westchester Senior Citizen Hall of Fame. And I just wanted to give her a shout out. This is an award in recognition of people of a certain age who have made a big difference in their community. So I think another previous Hall of Famer was Alice White. So that should give you a idea of the caliber. And finally, I just wanted to make a comment as well on what happened. I think, you know, it's without a doubt that what we saw was an act of domestic terrorism this week or last week. And, you know, it was really aided and abetted by a sitting president. And that's something I think is really important for us to recognize, because we are a country of laws. And if we, you know, break from using, that is that is the way we have all agreed as citizens of this country to operate through our legal system. You know, and this touches us right here in Tuckahoe. A year ago, I brought a resolution before the board to put a question on the ballot to move our election time. There was debate. It was very clear to this audience what was opinion, what was fact. I think we did a great job of that. And we voted. And I didn't like the vote, but you know what? That's how it goes. I didn't storm the village hall. And you know, people who are interested in progressing that, we are working through the legal system, because that's what we're supposed to do. Another challenge for us in the village here was the criminal justice reform and everything that went around that. And, you know, some of the things I think we got to see, but there were a lot of things that went on at the board that people didn't see. There was, you know, an impassioned letter written by a member of the board who could tell us what it was like to be on the other side of the criminal justice law, to understand what all of the holes in it meant to some of the people of color in our community. We had a very dedicated chief of police who was frustrated because a law was pushed down without the money to support it and without a lot of definition that was needed to carry it out. And we had a village board that was faced with trying to fund it and understand, you know, what the safety was to our village. But we did the right thing. We brought in our state representatives. We gave them the feedback, and we understood that all those pieces of that were important for us to represent. What happened after that was not very good. And I think we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to work on really focusing on fact and opinion and the differences of that, and of not using fear to drive our elections. So in a vein of trying to, you know, extend working with each other, I'd like to invite anybody on this board, anybody at the town level in Eastchester who wants to work together to improve something in our area. I'm happy to work with people. There are certainly things I know that we all could get right behind. One thing I've been working on is putting some criteria in our code to preserve historical structures in the village. Anyone who would like to work with me on that, I think that would be great. I think it's a lot harder to be mean to each other when you have to work together and produce something together. So I'm putting that offer on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lee?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
First, I'd like to talk about the senior citizens. Tomorrow, County Executive George Latimer will be joining our senior citizens via Zoom to update on the vaccination rollout. Jennifer Betchmile continues to keep our seniors engaged by Zoom, doing exercise classes, games, and discussions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Art classes will begin January 21st, and we start our annual member due renewal late January. Let's see. We are so happy and grateful to mention that the seniors received a donation from 25 holiday meals from Armavilla Neighborhood Association the day before Christmas Eve. Thanks to our wonderful Tuckahoe Police Department for delivering them to our seniors. We also had a visit from Santa Mayor Greg Luisi. He was dressed up. Our seniors love that, as usual. As far as the community center, we'd like to thank those who graciously donated and dropped off toys at the community center for our village toy drive. Like O'Meara said, this Thursday, there will be COVID testing from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It's actually from 10 to 6.
I'm
10 to
sorry?
6. 10 to 6.
Oh, 10 to 6. Okay, I'm sorry. 10 to 6 at the community center this Thursday. And also Saturday, February 6th, there will be a blood drive at the community center as well. With the spikes and increases in COVID cases, we must remain diligent, wearing masks, social distancing, and frequent hand washing. I know it's hard to stay positive during these challenging times, but I have to say I have been inspired by the community coming together, businesses and schools providing support to those in need, and neighbors caring for each other. Be ready to celebrate the effectiveness of the vaccine so we can get back to some normalcy. We will get through this together, Tuckahoe. I have one other thing to mention. We are excited to announce the winners of the Holiday Winter Contest for Eastchester and Tuckahoe. Cookie decorating, Henry and Olivia Zimmerman. The gingerbread house was the Pagnotta family. House decorations, the Bruner family. Honorable mention for their creativity is the Bonanno family.
We don't have pictures? No pictures?
They're on the website. They're on the Eastchester website. We also wanted to, we're waiting for a snowstorm. We're gonna take a selfie with a snowman. So keep a lookout for that. No.
No.
And that's all I have. Stay safe, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Lee. Well, it's my turn. My one comment about last Wednesday is when I turned on the TV and I saw what was taking place, I got sick to my stomach and I shut the TV off. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I think that says it all. Martin Luther King's birthday will be celebrated this Monday, and obviously due to the pandemic, many of those social gatherings are not going to be taking place this year. So I just ask everyone to remember and honor the memory of Martin Luther King next Monday. And lastly, we're talking about COVID, and David and I had a conference call with the county exec today, along with the other municipal officials. So please allow me to share the latest vaccine information that was given to us today. The distribution is in the hands of New York State. And the state is developing the program for the distribution and the authorization of the vaccination sites. As right now, they're in phase 1A, 1B, and I think at 4 o'clock today, they added another phase 1C. And the people that are in that group are obviously healthcare workers, teachers, first responders, public transportation workers, people that work in medical offices, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, people 75 and older are now eligible to receive the vaccination right now. But however, with that being said, the one thing that came out in this call today is when things do get up and running, the demand is probably it will outweigh the supply. So everyone, please, will have to be patient. And what they gave us today, beginning at 4 o'clock today, the state has set up a COVID-19 vaccination hotline. And what this hotline will allow you to do will allow you to schedule a vaccination for people who are eligible now to receive the vaccination. Great question was asked. So let's say I'm not 75 or older, I'm not in this group of 1A, 1B, 1C. Can I sign up for this vaccination even though I'm not eligible right now? And the answer is no. So that opportunity won't exist for anyone to get into the system or jump the line, what have you. So please, and we're going to make this information available on our website, but for those out there right now, the number, the hotline for scheduling vaccinations, and for those who are eligible, that number is 1-833-697-4829. 1-833-697-4829. And another layer of bureaucracy, if you will, is prior to the receiving the vaccination, you have to complete a form on the New York State COVID-19 website. And of course, for more information about this, phase distribution and so on, I think it's best if we just put it up on the website because it's a pretty long URL to get those answers. But just remember that one number for those in the listening audience right now that are eligible. That number again is 1-833-697-4829. But realize that if you are eligible, you probably, again, this is what we are being told, will not receive the vaccination until April, March, April, somewhere around there. And the rest of us, they're saying probably June. But we'll see as things move forward. And with that, this is the second opportunity for anyone to address the board.
Mr. Mayor, may I just say one thing I forgot to mention?
Sure.
So with the COVID, we at the ECAP are also unable to put together the biggest fundraiser that the ECAP does. So if you're in any position to help, please do so. Right on Main Street with the Eastchester Community Action Program. Again, we're unable to put together our biggest fundraiser. So we're going to have a bunch of shortfalls as well. So again, if you're in any position, please, we could use all your help. Thank you very much. I forgot to mention.
Everyone in the village should be getting a letter from the ECAP board, just informing everyone of what the ECAP has accomplished throughout COVID and encouraging people to donate if they can.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the trustee board. Reverend Gerald, Shiloh Baptist Church. Just a clarification on the COVID testing. You do not have to complete the form if you go on Am I Eligible at the New York State site to check your eligibility and to request a date. You will have to have a Google Chrome internet access because it won't open up unless you have Google Chrome. So that I'm just offering that for clarification.
Reverend, I'm only reading to you what was given to us this afternoon.
Yeah, I realized that, and that came up in a discussion we had close to 5 o'clock this evening, and they pointed out that you do not have to complete that form if you go on the Am I Eligible site.
Okay. And even when this was being discussed, we thought how much more difficult do you want to make this for people to get this vaccination? So it's good to hear that.
And
okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I just happened to speak to somebody on the hotline today, and
Who's speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Kara Cronin. How are you? Sorry.
It's okay.
I just happened to speak to somebody on the hotline today. All the appointments going through till March were booked, but they were very clear that if you just kept checking every day, they would put up new slots of appointments. So if you're trying to schedule an appointment for somebody like an elderly person, you may need to do some diligent like work and kind of keep back.
Yeah, and then another issue that they're dealing with is where will these vaccination sites be? Thought seems to be that the elderly will be able to go to the CVS's and the Value Drugs, Walgreens, that type of place to get the vaccination. I think the county center is going to be available.
Yeah.
But these are all things that are being worked out as we speak. So as we get this information from the county, we'll put it forth on our village website as well. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on any item? Okay, well, that being none, I will make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So moved. I'll second it.
Thank you. Until next time, Tuckahoe, stay safe.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Safe.
Good night.
Everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Stay
Good
safe.
night.